Good morning, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace here, dropping in on you on a Sunday morning. Hopefully, you had an unbelievable week this past week. You've got some things done. You've made some progress in your intentional growth. You're headed in a direction that you know is facilitating and guiding you towards your ultimate destiny, and you're enjoying the ride despite the obvious and unavoidable hiccups. That's the goal every week. I don't care who you are, where you're starting from, how much you've already accomplished, or the lack thereof. Your goal is to grow every day. Your goal is to understand where you need to advance in life, what you need to change, how you need to become what it is that you want to be in order to have the things you want to have. Remember, I always say it's not what you want, but who you are or what you become that will determine what you end up having and accomplishing. You can say and wish all day about having something, and you can have the idea or the intent to have something. But until you actually make the moves and commit to changing and becoming what you need to become in order to produce the things you say you desire, whether it's a good marriage, whether it's a new business, whether it's financial wealth, whether it's social impact, political impact, whatever it is, you have to become the person necessary. And so it's a process. So every week I measure myself. Daily I look inside, say, okay, yesterday, what did you do that you shouldn't have done? And it's always something. It may be responding to a client in a way I shouldn't have. It may have been not giving enough attention to something my wife said. It may have been being a little too stern with the kids, or maybe not being stern enough with the kids. But it's always something I can look at and say, okay, we can handle that better today. And then I look at it and I say, what did you do great yesterday? Say, okay, let's keep that momentum going. Whatever it is I found that I've done great, let's keep that momentum going. Let's do what it takes in order to advance that. So it's always every day checking myself, but every week I'm looking, how did I progress? What ways did I move forward? How am I becoming better? And to look at that, first celebrate it, then break it down analytically, anatomize it, and then determine what things I need to work on more, what things I need to nurture more, and move forward. And I guarantee you, if you focus on these micro changes, you will see the macro results down the line. Don't get caught up in the idea that it doesn't seem like you're moving or you seem stagnant. Just focus on growth. I want to talk to you real briefly this morning about how you can reprogram your mind while sleeping. And I'm doing this because I consistently talk about and teach that we are controlled 95 to 96% of the time, or 96% of your day is controlled by your subconscious. In other words, your subconscious is running a program. A predominance of that program was programmed in you by the age of 7 when you were in a state we call theta. Theta is a state where you're either imagining and creating, or you're downloading information in your environment, what people say, what people do. Everything you see and hear is being downloaded and logged into your brain, and it's the program you're going to run. It's going to teach you the things you don't do, the things you do, how to behave in certain situations, all of that. And the predominance of that is done by the age of between 5 and 7. And what we know now is that's the program that most people run for the rest of their lives, with certain changes in as you move forward. Now, every time you experience something new in your life, any day, you create these neural pathways that are there to facilitate this new idea, this new thought, this new information. Now, depending on how often and how frequent after that you engage this new idea or this new information will determine how strong these neural pathways are and how much they impact your program. If it's a one-off, then those neural pathways will dwindle away, and it'll be a no-brainer. It'll be falling away somewhere back in the deep and not really have any meaning. But if you take on a new idea and you constantly engage it, and you constantly give it force with what we know as the reticular activating system, is study applying gravity and priority and emphasis on it, it becomes more of an emphatic force in your life. And then you will have to start aligning the rest of your beliefs with it. And this is a part of how change takes place through a process called neuroplasticity, meaning that you're not locked into the personality, which used to be the school of thought. Used to be by the time you're 7, people are going to know who you are, how you're going to behave, whether you're going to be quick-tempered, laid back, whether you're going to be outgoing or the introvert. All of these different things could be determined, by age 7. Now we know that you can change at any time if you apply the right amount of attention to engaging a new idea, a new thought process, a new belief. It's possible. Well, the problem is, okay, if 95, 96% of your, and sometimes up to 90, 98% of your behavior is controlled by your subconscious, and that subconscious is governed by a program of beliefs and ideas and parameters that are under you. And so you're literally on autopilot 96% of the day. It may not seem like it, but you're acting and moving. They're just things that cannot depend upon your conscious mind to see it, process it, and respond to it, or you'll be in a lot of trouble. There's some things you have to do instantaneously, and knowing, doing it, and your subconscious takes care of that. But what if your subconscious is functioning on an erroneous idea, an erroneous concept, or a program that is non-conducive to the things that you desire to have in life? What do you do then? You've got to reprogram the program. You've got to change what's in the subconscious. And again, this is not an overnight process, because this has been ingrained at the beginning of your life and reinforced with new ideas and cyclical thinking and speech. You normally reaffirm what you think and believe through the way you talk. Your self-talk and your conversation is a process that reinforces the programming, because there's a saying says that your mind is eavesdropping on your self-talk, and so your self-talk is literally becoming the program that you're running, and it's reinforcing the same program. So you have to literally consciously change things. The problem is your conscious is only engaged about 3 to 4% of the time each day. You're literally moving and operating on what you know and automatically are able to do. You're on autopilot. So one of the things that has been proven to be very effective, I use it with my clients, is auto-hypnosis. Auto-hypnosis is the ability to program the subconscious by bypassing the conscious. Well, how do you do that? And you don't have to go to a professional or a specialist to get it done. It's actually very simple. There's a point in time when you're laying down to go to sleep at night, when you are moving from a conscious state as you fall asleep, as you start to drift off into sleep, you're moving from a conscious state to a non-conscious state or an unconscious state. And the first part of that state is theta. Now, theta is the same conscious state that children under 7 deal with when they're being programmed for life. Theta is that breakdown, and it may last anywhere, depending on how fast you drift off into sleep. That can last anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour where you're in theta. And so what you do is you wear a set of headsets. Or if you live alone and you're not going to be bothering anybody else, you can have it playing in the background. I prefer headsets because it drowns out any other sounds, and so all you hear is what's on this program. Now you have this program, and you run the program that you want to run your life. That first 30 minutes that you're falling off to sleep and you're in theta, have that playing in the background. And you won't hear it because you're asleep. Your subconscious will. So your subconscious hears everything, even the things that you've zoned out with your consciousness. Your subconscious hears. That's why you got to be very careful about what you allow into your gates. That's why they always say guard your gates. Why? Because the things you're allowing to seep in may not even be, you might not be consciously aware of it, but your subconscious is taking it in. So what happens is this first 30 minutes, and I'm going to get back to this in the end, the first 30 minutes is your theta state. So it's where you are able to bypass your consciousness because you drift off from consciousness. So you're no longer consciously aware of what's happening. And now you're sending a message to your subconscious of who you are. And this program is going to be, now it's very important. I design these programs personally for my clients. And I'll talk to you about that later. But if you are going to try to create it for yourself, there's 2 ways to do it. If it's going to be someone else's voice, like if I were to create it for you, then it's important that it's speaking the second person. And it tells you you are. Why? Because your brain can recognize your voice. And if someone else is saying I am, it's them, not you. Now, if you do it, your brain recognizes your voice, even when it's recorded. So when you say I am and it's your voice, your brain says, okay, this is me talking to me and this is who I am. So it's very important if it's someone else's voice, the program needs to be saying you. Whatever it's declaring you are wealthy, you are abundant, you are intelligent, you are smart, you are a business owner, you're an entrepreneur, you're a great parent, whatever the program is running. And you can make it as specific as you want to. You can talk about dollar amounts, you can talk about how long you're going to be married, you can talk about someone, you are healthy, you're fit, and all of these things. Now, a lot of people will say, you're talking a non-reality. No, you're speaking into your subconscious the way you want it to behave. Because once your subconscious believes that you are something, that means you've already accomplished it. It will automatically behave the way that that particular reality demands. So if you start to say that I am healthy, the body will sit up and say, this is what healthy people do, because I guarantee you, your brain has downloaded all of this information on health and unhealthy living. On healthy and unhealthy living, it has all the information. Now, it's right now being programmed by how you live. I eat what I want to eat. I do what I want to do. I might go to the gym and I might not. And so that's the program you're on. But when you start telling yourself you're healthy, I work out 5 times a week. I work out 4 times a week. I'm on this type of nutritional intake, a nutritional plan, and you consistently do this, the subconscious now has a new program over time. I normally tell my clients to do it a minimum of 30 days to 60 days. I do it every day. I'm programming myself not only before I go to sleep, but when I wake up in the morning. It's the first thing I do. I find a reason to be grateful, and then I start to make sure I'm reinforcing the program, because it's so many things moving against you. Every day you're going to go out and accomplish something, and you're going to have a micro failure where something didn't go the way you wanted to go. And if you allow that to get to you, if you allow that to sit into you, it's just like being exposed to micro levels of radiation over time. You don't feel it initially, but it's there. And then if you don't deal with it, if you don't do something to detox it, it just builds, and then it builds, and then it builds, and it starts to have this weight that has to be dealt with. And so what you want to do is every day detox from negative ideas, negative thoughts, negative experiences, leave them behind, take the lesson that you need to learn from it, grow from the lesson, and keep moving. That's extremely important. Now, there's something that Dr. Bruce Lipton calls the honeymoon effect. And it explains how we're able to use our consciousness more. And the reason you want to use your consciousness more is your consciousness is where your desires and your wishes reside. If I were to ask you, what you want most right now out of life, you would immediately use your consciousness to determine what that is. And if it's something you've never had before, you're creating it with your conscious. So now you're using your creativity, your imagination, and your consciousness to determine what your outcome would be if you were in control. Now, the thing is, you're in control, but it's not the consciousness, it's subconscious. Now you got this thing. And there's this study, and where the honeymoon effect comes in is there's this study that shows that when people fall in love, and get this emotional attachment, there's these certain feelings that are associated with this emotional attachment. But check this out. These people, in the time that they fall in love, in the first, maybe 30 to 90 days, and maybe longer for certain other people, but that newness of the relationship, you go from 96% subconscious activity to 90% conscious activity. Why? The moment that you fall in love with a person, that other person comes into your picture and you become mindful. Why? Because you spend a lot of time wishing and desiring about the relationship. So you are constantly, over the course of the day, accessing your conscious mind in order to create these desires you have for this new partner. The desires, the wishes, the hopes, the dreams, the aspirations of how we're going to live, how we're going to love, what we're going to do together. All this is happening during this first, let's just say 90 days, and it varies with different people, but let's just say the first 90 days, and you're on this high. And so for 90 days, you're creating this conscious state, but then something happens. It starts to wear off because we're dealing from a place of emotion, and the emotion simply isn't enduring. There has to be something substantial and significant in the relationship outside the emotions being tantalized and heightened. And so what happens is you start to come down, and then your subconscious starts to take over. Now, the problem is, what program were you running before you met this person? Because the one thing that love does, and I am absolutely a huge fan of using love as a part of the healing process, because love is so powerful. I've had people who I have talked to, and we've gone over their whole life. And I mean, for years, they've been miserable. For years, they've been stressed out. For years, they've been anxious. For years, they've been complaining about their life. All of a sudden, somehow, with all that negativity, they end up finding somebody that finds them attractive and is drawn to them. I don't know, because normally that amount of energy normally draws somebody negative. And in some cases, it is. But the moment that they believe they've fallen in love, and whether the person is right for them or not, the moment they believe they're falling in love, the whole world changes. They're on cloud 9. Nothing is wrong. All the stuff that existed that made them say that their life sucked is still there. But the love overcomes it all. And now they're on cloud 9. But here's the problem. About 90 days in, you're going to start to come down. And you're going to have a ground and a foundation to sit on and stand on and perform on and live on. And so what happens is with this is most people end up getting to that point and then reverting back to the point where now the subconscious is in dominant control of everything you do, and the mindfulness has subsided. And normally you're behaving now from an egotistical perspective. So it's become more about you. And your partner's looking at you going, okay, where did that come from? This is not the person that got my attention. This is not the person that got my, that pulled me in. I don't even know if I really like this person. And sometimes it's not as bad, and sometimes it is. So the thing is, the desires, the wishes, the aspirations, the dreams that you had in your conscious mind that kept you going in the first 90 days have now backed up and life is taken over. But how do you move those desires, those wishes, those aspirations into the program? Because remember, your life is controlled by the program that's being run by the subconscious. Well, how do you do that? Auto hypnosis. The fastest way to change it is to take the conscious out of the way of the programming process. Because even when you're sitting up in a conscious state, and I do conscious affirmations with my clients, I do conscious affirmations with myself. But here's the problem with a conscious affirmation. Your conscious is aware of your current reality, your current state, your current situation. So when you begin to speak affirmations that don't align with it, you've got to fight your conscious from dismissing it, because your conscious is the one that's going to influence the subconscious on whether or not this is real, this is true, this is important. So you've got to literally be aware of what you're thinking and how you're behaving when you're dealing with your conscious. When you hypnotize or you use auto hypnosis, you're sitting up and saying, I'm gonna catch myself when my consciousness is not engaged. And I'm going to program my subconscious with these suggestions. And these suggestions over time will become emphatic and profound in my whole makeup and become a significant part of my subconscious programming. Now, when I do that consistently, I will find myself successful. I will find myself moving towards my goals. I will find myself performing at a higher level. Why? Because the program changed. The thing that governs 95 to 98%, I'm more around with what I've seen and what I've engaged, 96. Some people say 95, some say as high as 98. But 96% of your behavior is governed by your subconscious. That's how you get home from driving. You get a phone call, or you listening to a song on the radio and you're drifting off and whatever, and you drive, I mean, literally 30, 40 minutes, and you end up pulling up in your driveway and you don't have a clue how you got there. You can't remember if you ran that red light. back 2 blocks ago that, and all of this, but you made it there. And yes, you stopped at the red light. You stopped at the stop sign. You did all that. Why? Because it's auto programmed that I stop on red, I go on green, I stop at stop sign. It's there. It's an automatic response. And that's that. So, what you have to do is really truly understand the power that you have to work with your mind. I call it minding your reality. Be in a situation where you're mindful of your reality, not your condition. And see, that's a problem people have. A lot of people have a problem understanding the difference between their reality and their condition. Their condition is where you're at right now. And your reality is the sum total of how you respond to the condition now and what you're demanding of yourself in totality. So your reality is not your condition. Your reality is what you're creating. Your reality is what your thoughts are producing, what your habits are producing. Now, your condition is very much a part of your reality, but it's not the totality. It's not the defining moment. It's a moment in time. Now, how you deal with it and how much gravity you give it will determine how long it's around. If you got something you don't like and you keep looking at it, keep talking about it, keep complaining about it, keep making it more powerful than you by giving it attention, it will be around for a while. It will be around until you change the program, a program that says no matter what I'm facing, I'm built for it. I mean, that's like a huge part of my program. I really have these levels, and at the core level, it's real simplified. I'm a beast at what I do. There's absolutely nothing that can stop me. And no matter what I face, I'm built for it. I always overcome. I always win. If I haven't won yet, the fight is not over if I'm still breathing. Just real simple things. And then I build on it, how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to do that, why I'm going to be successful, all these different things. But at the core of it is, you just will not stop me. You will not break me. Life does not dominate me. I dominate life, period. And it's those simple things that are at the core of my program that people will look at me at times in my life when things were really crazy and go, what is wrong with him? Is he delusional? No, I'm not delusional. I'm just not shaken by the moment because there's something greater inside of me than the moment. And that simple belief allows me to remain calm when most people are losing their freaking minds. Why? I don't care how bad it gets, can't break me. And then the flip side of it is I've also trained my program to understand that the greater the resistance, the greater the battle, the greater the adversity, the more compelling the reward, the more awesome the reward. So when I am in a fight, and it's almost like a fight for my life, when I come out of it, it's worth every ounce of blood, sweat, and tears that I put into it. So people will look at me, how are you smiling? Because when I come out of this, that's the mindset. But it starts with being able to change your program. See, a lot of you are stressing because your program is off. A lot of you are stuck in a situation you've been in for years because your program is off. A lot of you are in abusive relationships because your program is off. A lot of you can't figure out your finances because your program is off. A lot of you are struggling in your marriage because your program is off. You've got to change your program. I don't care who you are and what you heard. And this is something that really, really frustrates me with my people of the Christian faith is you think you can pray your problems away without taking action to align with the prayer. The prayer is an important part of it because it puts you in the right state of mind. It puts you in a place of confidence when you truly have a relationship with who you're praying to. That's important too. See, a lot of people are praying from ritual. You were told you had to pray. You feel like you're being disrespectful if you don't pray. You feel like God's going to be mad at you if you don't pray. All the wrong reasons to pray. You're praying to connect. You're praying to disconnect from your pain, to disconnect from the things that are pulling you down, and to connect to a higher source, a higher power, and to access that power to bring a level of calm, peace, and confidence into your life that you are built for it. Because see, the thing I can tell you is right now, it's something I tell people all the time when I'm speaking to people at church. Look, I don't care how hard you pray. I don't care how hard you pray. You can get mad at me. You can unfriend me. You can stop following me. You can drop your subscription. I don't care how hard you pray. God is never going to deliver you from the giants he sent you to slay. If you don't get anything else, you were designed for a purpose, and that purpose calls for you to move in a certain way. That purpose has a promise associated with it, but it also has a process. Process always precedes promise. You cannot have the promise without first enduring the process. And God is not going to deliver you from the giant he sent you to slay. Whatever you're put on this place to do, that's going to be your calling, and you'll never be able to escape it and live free of it. You will always have it sitting on your front doorstep. Even if you never pick it up, you will never escape it. And it will always be that anxious feeling on the inside of you that you can't seem to shake until you sit up and say, I'm going to live in my purpose. I'm going to do exactly what I was meant to be. I'm going to be impactful. I'm going to be powerful. I'm going to be forceful. Nothing in this world will stop me from living out my purpose and honoring my designer by living to the full capacity of my design. That's it. I don't care what you think of, what you say about it. You're not going to find anybody that sits and says, this is my calling. I'm going to pray my way out of it. And all the pain, hardship, and difficulty, and everything that's a part of the process. It doesn't happen. It will not happen. What you do is say, let me see the power that you planted in me. Open up my eyes so that I can be aware of the divine nature of power to speak things and call things and declare things and live things that I've been failing to do to this point. Open it up. Give me revelation. Allow me to see it. Somebody needs you to stand up, step out, and live in your purpose. You're not here for you. You're here to touch lives. You're here to change lives. You're here to empower people. You're here to make sure that the world is not the same as when you leave as it was when you found it. That is your purpose. Whatever it is you do, whatever work you have, and I'm not talking about your job, I'm talking about your work. That thing associated with your purpose, that thing you're designed to do. That's where you're going to gain. That's where you're going to grow. That's where you're going to become significant. That's where your life will matter to more than just you. And with that being said, I'm gonna get out of here. Now, like I said, if you want to reprogram the subconscious, you do that in a number of different ways. Number one is you have to guard your gates. You got to be careful of what you allow in. Anything working against something that you believe to be what you're about, what you want, what you desire. Anything coming in that's contrary to that, that is in diametric opposition to that, you got to cast it down. You got to bring it into captivity. You got to hold on to it. This is immensely important for my Christian people. Check this out. 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 3. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty in God for the pulling down of strongholds, casting down arguments, and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, bringing every thought into captivity, into the obedience of Christ. Every thought. You've got to be able to arrest thoughts and cast out thoughts and cast down arguments against your elevation, arguments against your abundance, arguments against your marriage, arguments against your parenting, arguments against everything. There's a constant barrage of information coming, and all of it is not good for you. You got to be able to stand guard over your gate and say, this is not for me. I cast it away. I refuse to receive it. I am going to now speak the truth against it, and then you speak your truth. I didn't say speak what you're in. I said speak your truth. And I don't care what your faith is. I don't care what you believe. I don't care what that is. There's a truth you can speak, and there's a condition. If you keep speaking the condition, you keep living the condition. You've got to be able to speak your reality, speak your truth despite your condition. That's faith. That's saying, despite being in this situation, there's something better for me that I will have, that I will live in, that I will claim. And when you consistently stand guard of your gates and you speak with force, you are telling your subconscious, this is who I am, this is my reality, this is my truth, and I am going to live in it. And that's when you start to see things change. Now, when it comes to auto hypnosis, it's real simple. Catch yourself in a state of theta. And there's 2 times that you do it. The best time to do it is when you're going off to sleep at night, and I'm going to explain why. When you're going off to sleep at night, as you start to lose conscious and you drift into sleep, you go into a state called theta. This is where kids under the age of 7 live. It's how they download and program everything into their brain that governs what they do, what they don't do, how they do it, when they do it, who to say what to, how to act in certain situations. All of that is a part of the theta process. Theta has two things. I am downloading information that is becoming my paradigm and governing how I deal with life. I'm also constantly in a state of creativity and imagination. I'm visiting things and dreaming things and seeing things, and I'm believing anything is possible because I'm able to do that now. I don't have these limitations that are going to be constantly impressed upon me. At this time, I have an imagination and I'm creating a new idea and all this stuff. But the problem is we tend to suck that out of our kids. Right around that age, we start telling them stop daydreaming, get your head out the clouds. That's not realistic. All those things that suck the life out of their imagination and their ability to create, and they come into this solely programmed world or whatever everybody else says. But you're in theta. You know, right as you driven out, so the first 30 minutes or so, you're in theta. Have on your headsets, playing the program that you want to live. And the wonderful thing about it is it's circumventing the conscious because the conscious is not aware. So it's going directly to the subconscious, unfiltered. Exactly the way you want it to be sent, with no resistance from the conscious of what the real reality is now or the condition is now. It's going straight to it. And then, you know, when it falls off, like, you know, by the time you wake up and realize, man, these headsets are getting on my nerves, it's done. Take them off, throw them to the side, go back to sleep. A lot of times what's going to happen is it's going to program your dream state. So now you're dreaming your reality. And then when you wake up in the morning, but what it is doing is it's already planted. It's already becoming a part of your program. Now it's what it's starting to do. The more you do it, is override the old program that doesn't align. Why? Because it's the thing you're engaging consistently at the right time when it's most effectively. Another time you're in theta is when you first wake up before you engage. There's a constant belief that the moment you step and put your foot on the floor, you engage the left side of your brain if you're right-handed and the right side of your brain if you're left-handed, which is the conscious, critical thinking side, decision-making side. And the right side for right-handed people is going to be your creative side, your imaginative side, and all of that. But so when you first start waking up, there's another time to have your suggestions handy. And you can do that through listening to the tape again, the recording, a digital recording. I do MP3s. And in some instances, I create for my clients MP4s, which have the visual effect of when they want to sit up and watch it, that means that it's now coming through multiple gates and entering into your subconscious. It's powerful as well. And I create these. Up until now, I've only done this for my clients. Because, you know, these are personalized. Not everybody's going for the same thing. So you've got to have something that's directly aligned. I mean, with specificity. Remember, the clearer you are about what you want, the clearer the image and the vision is, which becomes your visual blueprint of how you're going to live out your assignment. So whatever your purpose is, it's an assignment. And your vision or your dreams are simply the visual blueprint of the assignment. It's not fantasy. There's a difference between a fantasy and a vision, or a fantasy and a dream. Fantasy is what you're wishing and thinking, and it has absolutely nothing to do with your work. It's you being caught up in your ego. Your vision and your dream is you being aware of your purpose and having a visual of how that looks so that you recognize it when you see it and you know when you're off. And it's important to understand that. So again, what happens is you wake up in the morning, you put them back on. And you listen to them for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, take them off, affirm, confirm, and keep moving. You know, and I do this process out the day because it's always, like I said, so much negativity out there. I control certain parts of my day of exactly what I'm going to hear, exactly what I'm going to see. I am in control of it. And then I limit the things that I know I shouldn't see. And even when I see something or hear something that doesn't align with what it is that I'm establishing for me, I immediately arrest it. I take control over it. I categorize it, contextualize it, and declare that it does not apply to me. This is being actively in control of your reality. Most people are living their lives believing life is happening to them because they don't have control. They're not taking the necessary actions to make sure they're living the life they want to live. You are in control. You're just not doing what you need to do. What you're doing is not working. It's working against you. It's you. I don't care who's doing what to you. All of that is still within your control. You have the control, especially once you move into adulthood. You have control to control everything. A child doesn't control their environment. That's controlled by the person who has uh, guardianship, whether it's a parent, whether it's a relative, whether it's somebody else. It's going to be controlled, that environment. And they only have a certain level of what they can say no to because they don't have the physical capacity to defend themselves. But that's why you find so many kids who don't remember being abused as a child or molested as a child, is because their most powerful mechanism is their imagination. They've completely erased it, created a new reality, and that's allowed them to cope and be functional. And so at every level of life, there's this thing within your brain that allows you to be in a place that you may not be in right now, but will allow you to have peace long enough to come out of where you are right now. And that's at any level. It was given to us by God. It's one of our gifts that we can literally declare ourselves to be somewhere we're not physically at the time. And if we stay strong and focused long enough, we come out of it. That's why you got people who went through hell as a kid, highly functional and successful, because there was a point in time where they got away from their reality and became something that and whatever it was, normally you tend to create something that makes you more powerful than your situation. And you stay in it long enough, you become it. Then you have to at some point heal and deal with it. And then you come out of it. But when you're able to create stuff that doesn't exist, that keeps you alive, it shows you the power. Inherently, subconsciously, it shows you, I can do anything. And so up until now, I've always done these personalized uh, auto hypnosis programs for my clients. I've just decided literally this morning that I was going to start offering them to the public. If you want to know how to get that done for you, it's a consultation session. We're going to sit down and we're going to come up with what you want in your life, what your ultimate outcome is. What does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it, I mean, in specificity. And then we'll come up with a specialized program that you can play in your headphones whenever you want to, but definitely when you're falling asleep at night, and watch the results. If you're interested in that, email me. There's no way you can go and get this. You got to email me. We've got to talk, and then we'll take it from there. But that's definitely something that is powerful. I mean, more ways that I can ever talk about now. Also, we're still doing breakthrough sessions. The information for that, no cost for the first session. That is, no cost for the first breakthrough session. If that's it for those who haven't used it already. It's been very successful. I'm really happy how that's going. And you can still get your copy of Critical Mass, something that's already always probably going to be in the post as we move forward. In the coming weeks, I've got a lot to share with you about the awesome things that are happening with my business, with my wife, my wife's Marion's business. And, it's like, one of those things where it's good to teach it. It's better to live it. And I am passionate about what I do with people. Anybody that's worked with me and dealt with me know how passionate I am and how engaged I am and how important it is for me to help you get what you want. And as much as I love that, I cannot top the feeling of living it and seeing it and experiencing it and watching, my wife just go step after step after step after step after step and just watch her climb. And I'm looking and I'm like, man, it's unbelievable. And there are a lot of things we're going to share with you over the course of the next few weeks that, that are on deck for what we've been doing. And just to watch the manifestation of where we are at versus where we started is unbelievable. And to see, me having gone through what I went through a few years back to be where I'm at. And, it's an unbelievable feeling. So I am challenging everyone, live your life on full. Set the standard of excellence that will allow you to achieve extraordinary, remarkable, and phenomenal things in your life that help to change the lives of other people. You were not put here for yourself. You will be rewarded for your work, but you were put here to change lives, to change situations, to help the world be a better place and a more secure environment for the next generation. That's a responsibility that you have to own. That's a responsibility that you have to engage. And it is, like I said, it's unbelievably fulfilling, and you will be rewarded for it in every way you desire to be rewarded. And with that being said, I'm gonna get off of here. And you guys have an unbelievable day. As I always say, live your life on full. If you want a personalized auto hypnosis program, email me from the email address that's listed there. And the people in the support department will forward me the information, and we'll schedule a time, or they'll schedule a time for us to talk, and then I'll take it from there. But anyway, that's it. I'm out. Peace.